Workplace safety. We hear about it all the time, and as responsible employees, we strive to stay safe and injury-free by doing our jobs according to procedures, following safety rules, and being responsible for our personal safety. When an injury at work does happen, we know a proper investigation can reveal the root cause of that injury, and ways to prevent similar incidents can be devised and implemented to improve the overall safety of our workplace. But there is something else we need to do. There is another source we can study that provides critical information for improving our safety program: close calls and near misses. As we will learn during this program, reporting close calls leads to improvements in job procedures and work areas and allows the correction of unsafe conditions or actions before an injury occurs. However, as our first example demonstrates, failing to report even a small incident allows hazards to escalate into more serious situations. A fork truck driver backs into a storage rack, pushing the rack into the aisleway on the other side. Luckily, the rack did not tip over onto nearby workers. Unfortunately, this close call went unreported. Troy Lodeholt handles materials as they arrive at the facility. He takes pallets of material and places them into storage areas. While moving a load of materials which obstruct his vision, Troy collides with the storage rack that was protruding into the aisleway. Since no one noticed the incident and no apparent damage was done, Troy continued working and left at the end of his shift without reporting the incident. Troy didn't realize the collision had punctured a container of lubricating fluid inside the boxes, and by the time the next shift arrived, the fluid had made its way into the aisleway.
I didn't see the spill until I walked right through it. I almost lost my balance and fell, but I didn't. Anyway, I was on my way to another area. I was in a hurry. Besides, I thought somebody else would clean it up. That's not my job.
At this point, 3 close calls had gone unreported, and it was just a matter of time before another incident occurred. A fork truck, traveling too fast, swerves to avoid the rack and runs through the spilled lubricant. Sliding on the slippery floor, the fork truck narrowly misses a group of workers. This close call, which could easily have been a fatality, was reported and an investigation was begun. The near-miss investigation revealed several contributing factors. Unsafe forklift operation contributed in 2 ways. Backing, without checking behind the forklift, contributed to hitting the rack. Exceeding safe operating speed contributed to swerving around the rack and into the fluid. Traveling with an obstructed view contributed to the collision between the pallet jack and the storage rack. Not paying attention while walking, combined with being in a hurry, contributed to Frank's near slip and fall. Finally, not reporting any of the 3 smaller incidents contributed to an escalation of hazards that resulted in the final incident. Had the forklift operator reported backing into the rack, it would have been discovered that the rack was pushed into the aisle and would have been corrected. Had the material handler reported colliding with the rack, the containers would have been inspected for damage and the leak discovered. Finally, had Frank reported his near slip and fall, the spill would have been marked off and cleaned up properly. Reporting close calls leads to improving the overall safety of our workplace. As illustrated by our next example, no matter how simple a close call may seem, even if you think nothing can be learned from it, reporting the incident can lead to improvements you may not have considered. Tom Riggs works in the receiving area. Workers in this area use knives to assist in opening the boxes.
I was trying to stay caught up with the guys unloading the shipment. My knife was starting to get dull, and I really had to apply a lot of force to get it to cut. I really needed a new blade, but I didn't want to go all the way across the plant to the tool room. And I didn't want the shipment to get backed up. Rather than get a new knife, Tom continued to use the dull blade so he could keep up with the flow of boxes. On this one box, I was really having a hard time. So I decided to pull the knife towards me so I could apply more force, you know? The knife slipped out of the box and just grazed my arm, cutting my jacket. It's a miracle I wasn't badly cut.
Although the cause of the incident seems clear, the investigation found some interesting contributing factors. Tom was having trouble keeping up as the boxes were being unloaded because he had to both open and unpack each box. Falling behind contributed to Tom's feeling rushed. Feeling rushed, combined with the faraway location of the tool room, contributed to Tom's poor decision not to change blades. The difficulty of cutting with a dull blade contributed to Tom using an unsafe cutting technique. After the investigation was completed, the company began storing frequently used tools and supplies, such as knife blades, closer to work areas so they could be accessed easily. When unloading large shipments, 2 employees are now used to open and unpack the boxes. One employee cuts open the box, and the other employee unloads it. This reduces the need to hurry while cutting with a knife. As our next incident demonstrates, another benefit of reporting close calls is drawing attention to actions that aren't currently recognized as being unsafe. Workers on this assembly line perform many different tasks during the day. To reduce fatigue and strain, employees change work assignments several times during each day.
To move from one workstation to the next requires a long walk around the conveyors. Most of the time, the place you need to go was just on the other side of the line.
Many employees have become accustomed to crossing the conveyor by climbing over it rather than walking to the nearest approved crossover.
Everyone was doing it, so I thought it was okay.
Becoming complacent around hazards in our work area is a real threat to our safety, as Rhonda soon discovered. Attempting to cross the line by standing on the non-moving side rails, she lost her balance and fell hard onto the rollers. An alert coworker hit the emergency stop button, shutting down the conveyor. Rhonda was helped off the line with no serious injury. The investigation discovered the following contributing factors. Failing to enforce the company's rules against crossing the conveyor, the shift supervisor contributed to the employees engaging in unsafe behavior. Repeating the unsafe act without incident contributed to the employees becoming complacent about the danger of the moving conveyor. The failure of both supervisors and employees to recognize the shortcut as being unsafe contributed to it becoming a standard part of the work routine. The incidents in this program have reinforced some basic safety principles we must always follow. Being in a hurry or becoming angry tempts you to commit unsafe acts. Don't succumb to the temptation. No matter what job you do, it takes just one moment of carelessness to create a dangerous situation. Take a moment to consider the safety of every action you take and avoid becoming complacent about the hazards of your work area. If unsafe conditions are discovered, correct or report the situation right away. Don't allow a poor attitude to place other workers at risk. Perhaps most importantly, we have shown how reporting close calls and near-miss incidents can improve your work facilities and job procedures, helping to create a safer, more productive workplace for everyone. Thank you.